Hello and welcome to another TDW Tech Bite. In today's Tech Bite, we're going to speak about a change to the definition of personal data that is coming under Hong Kong law. Presently, personal data is defined as data from which it is capable to ascertain a living individual. That must be in a form that is capable of processing. Now think of this. A person walks down a street. It's a crowded street. A photograph is taken. That photograph is published. In the photograph, it features a person who maybe has a strange feature of fashion, or maybe looks a little bit incongruous to those who are around them. And that's commented on in the content of the publication itself. Is that personal data? Was that individual's personal data used without the person's consent? Well, this has been looked at in Hong Kong, and the decision was that there was no personal data involved, because when the photograph was taken, it was taking a group of people without a specific intent in relation to the individual concerned. That's problematic, because if the comments in the article are adverse comments, for instance, and those adverse comments are used without the individual's consent, well, that individual will not be too happy about it. Now let's look at the position in the EU under GDPR. There they have used a definition of personal information which relates to information relating to an individual from which the individual can be identified or is identifiable. So it has a construct of identified and identifiable. That's different to Hong Kong, and that's the direction of travel in Hong Kong. In January of this year, the Privacy Commissioner made a report to the Hong Kong government proposing a series of legislative changes, and one of the changes is to the definition of personal data. And the intention is to move the definition in Hong Kong to a defined term that is similar to GDPR and refers to identified and identifiable. Now, what does this mean in practice? What's going to change for you in the course of your business? Well, let's look at some of the things that in and of themselves, without connection to other identifiers, are not personal data in Hong Kong. An IP address would not be by itself personal data in Hong Kong. Under the new definition, that might change. Because an IP address, if it's linked to a person and is linked to a particular behavioral activity, could make that a person identifiable. Not necessarily that you'd know who it is, but you would know that it is a person who can be distinguished from other people by virtue of the online behavior related to that IP address. Likewise, think about certain kinds of cookies. Cookies are data packets that track behavior when you're logging onto a website. Sometimes they're quite necessary. They help in respect to the functionality and the operation of the website itself. Sometimes they're more privacy intrusive. In particular, third-party cross-site cookies. These are cookies that monitor your behavior across all websites that you may visit. That's something from which you could then be able to construct an avatar in respect of your digital behavior. What are the sites you like to visit? What pages have you visited? How long have you stayed on them? How long have you hovered around whether you click on particular icons or not? What have you viewed? What have you purchased? All these kinds of information can go to compile a whole data set, not necessarily letting people know who you specifically are, but knowing who that individual operating in that particular way has conducted themselves. Very privacy intrusive, and soon might well be a part of personal data in Hong Kong. So what do you need to prepare for? Firstly, you'll have to look at your privacy policies and personal information collection statements to make sure that you're accounting for the broadened scope of personal data that's going to be captured by these changes in law. What you might find soon is that when you visit websites that are websites of Hong Kong businesses collecting personal data in Hong Kong, that they will have the kind of cookie consent forms that are more common in the EU, where you're giving the user of that website a lot more information about the cookies that are being used and choices about whether or not they accept the use of those cookies in relation to their visit to that particular website. Also, for specific kinds of businesses, this is going to be more important and have a more pervasive change in the way that they operate. If you look at the ad tech world, or platforms that operate on the basis of collecting and selling, or in some way using the data that they obtain from data users. This could be communication platforms, or it could be things that are directly involved in digital marketing. These businesses will need to change their behavior. So it's no surprise that the Privacy Commissioner has looked to change this particular aspect of Hong Kong law. It is something that is out of date and out of step with the trends and with the times. So this change is coming. Be aware of it. Start looking at your policies now and tune into future TDW Tech Bites when we'll inform you of other changes coming your way in respect of personal data privacy law in Hong Kong.